All right, let's get right into it. In this explainer, we're going to break down the food on your plate and figure out what it's really made of. Its essential building blocks.
I mean, have you ever really stopped to think about what's on your plate? We see, breakfast, lunch, dinner, but let's go deeper. Let's look beyond just the meal and discover the powerful little guys, the nutrients, that are actually doing all the work inside our bodies.
Because a plate of food, it's so much more than just a pile of ingredients, right? It's this complex, amazing system. You've got your fuel, your building materials, and even your defenders. So today, that's what we're going to do. We're going to deconstruct it and see how it all works.
Okay, so turns out all the food we eat can be broken down into 5 main types of nutrients. And to make this super easy to understand, we're just going to group them by the jobs they do inside your body. Simple as that.
All right, first up, let's meet the crew that provides all our power. We're calling them the energy crew.
So, on one side of the ring, you've got carbohydrates. Think rice, bread. This is your quick, immediate energy. And in the other corner, you have lipids. That's just the fancy word for fats and oils. Think butter. This is your high-energy stuff that gets stored for later. They're both all about power, but they work on totally different clocks.
And this is where you can really see the difference. Carbs are your body's #1 choice. Its main fuel source for right now, for thinking, for moving, for just, living. Lipids, on the other hand, they're like your body's power bank, A super dense backup battery that it keeps charged up for when it really needs it.
And of course, we find these guys everywhere. They're in all the common foods we eat pretty much every single day, from the carbs in our potatoes and noodles to the oils and butter we cook with.
Okay, so that's the energy sorted. Let's move on to our next team. This is the crew that's responsible for all the construction and all the repairs inside your body.
And that brings us to the mighty protein. Seriously, if carbs and fats are the fuel, then protein is literally the bricks and mortar. It's what our bodies are built from. It's absolutely crucial for everything. Our muscles, our organs, even our immune system. Its job is to build and to repair. But here's where it gets really, really critical. The role of protein is never more important than at the very beginning of life. Get this, a mind-blowing 80%.
80% of our entire brain's growth is fueled by protein, and it all happens in just the first 2 years of life. That's an incredible growth spurt, right? Which, of course, is why protein is so fundamentally important for pregnant women and for young kids.
The great news, though, is that it's easy to find these essential building blocks. They're in a huge range of foods, from both animal sources like meat and eggs, and plant-based ones like beans and soya. All right, we've covered the big stuff. Now for the micronutrients. Now don't let the micro fool you. We only need them in small amounts, but they are a tiny but mighty team that keeps everything running like a well-oiled machine. Meet the protective services.
So you can think of vitamins and minerals as the security team and the maintenance crew for your body, all rolled into one. They aren't giving you energy, and they aren't building the structures, but their job is just as important. They protect you from diseases and make sure all your internal systems are running exactly as they should be.
And each one is a total specialist with a very specific job. You've got vitamin A, which helps with your vision. Vitamin C is your immune system's best friend. Vitamin D is all about building strong bones. And then you have iron, which is crucial for carrying oxygen all around your body and your blood. See? Every one of them has a key role to play.
And what happens when these tiny guardians are missing? Well, the consequences can be pretty severe. What you're looking at here is a condition called scurvy. Painful, bleeding gums, and it's caused by something as simple as not getting enough vitamin C. It's a really powerful reminder of just how critical these little protectors really are.
Okay, so we've taken the meal apart, we've met all the players, the energy crew, the builders, the protectors. Now let's talk about why putting them all back together on your plate correctly is so important. And to do that, let's look at 3 real-world examples from some students. First up, we have student A. Their diet is mostly food they see on TV, lots of takeout, and the result? They feel sleepy and sluggish after eating. Okay, now let's look at student C. Their diet is really inconsistent. They often skip meals entirely and just grab sugary drinks. And what happens? You guessed it. They feel totally tired and drained by the end of the day.
And finally, let's look at student B. Their diet is mostly home-cooked meals, rice, fish, vegetables, fruits. A good mix of everything. And the difference? It's like night and day. They say they feel clever, active, and they do well in both their studies and their hobbies.
I mean, when you put them side by side, the contrast is just so stark, isn't it? The processed and irregular diets might seem easy, but they lead to poor health and even risks down the road. But that varied, balanced diet, that leads to a life that's healthy, protected, and full of energy.
And this really gets to the heart of it all. This is the main takeaway. The whole idea of a balanced diet. It's not about finding one single superfood, and it's not about completely banning one so-called bad food. It's just about getting the right mix of everything. You need the energy, you need the building blocks, and you need the protectors, all in the right amounts.
And here's what that actually looks like. It's not rocket science, right? It's just a colorful, diverse plate. It's a plate that brings together the energy crew, the bodybuilders, and the protective services, and lets them all work together as a team to keep you feeling your absolute best.
So next time you sit down to eat, maybe take a second and just look a little closer at your plate. Now that you know who all the key players are, now that you know the teams, you can ask yourself a simple question. What's really on my plate?